Years passed. I was no longer the same man who once wasted time waiting for the right moment. I had lived, learned, and grown with purpose. The small business I once dreamed of had become something much greater, not just a source of money, but a message of hope. I started using my story to help others, people who felt lost, lazy, or just plain afraid to start. I began giving talks, meeting young people, and sharing what I had learned about the real value of time. I didn't use big, complicated words. I spoke simply, because truth doesn't need to be complicated. Time, I'd say, is not running away from you. It's waiting for you to notice it. People listened, some cried, some smiled, because deep down, everyone knew it was true. One winter morning, I woke up before dawn, just like I used 2 years ago. The air was cool and fresh. The city was still asleep. I made a cup of tea and walked to the same hill where everything began, the place I first saw the sunrise that changed my life. I stood there quietly, watching the horizon turn from dark blue to soft orange. The world was silent, peaceful, with only the wind whispering softly through the trees. As the first ray of sunlight touched the sky, I smiled. I remembered that day, seeing the giant clock in the sky for the first time. The fear, the confusion, the lessons, the change. But now that memory no longer scared me. It filled me with gratitude. I closed my eyes and whispered, "Thank you, time. You didn't take anything from me. You gave me everything." I took a deep breath, letting the sunlight warm my face. The light almost seemed to whisper back, "You learned well, Arjun." Just then, I heard footsteps behind me. A young boy, maybe 16, stood there nervously. He looked lost and tired. "Sir," he said softly, "I've seen your videos. I came to meet you." I turned and smiled. "Of course, what's your name?" "Ravi," he replied. I don't know what to do with my life. I waste so much time. I want to change, but I don't know how." I looked at him with gentle eyes. I saw a reflection of my own past self in him, the same confusion, the same fear. I said, "Sit with me." We both sat on the hill, watching the golden light rise across the sky. I asked him, "Tell me, Ravi, what do you see when you look at the sunrise?" He thought for a moment. "A new day?" I smiled. "Yes, but look closer. It's not just a new day. It's new time. And time is the most powerful thing you have. It's your chance to begin again." Ravi looked down. "But I keep wasting it." I nodded. "We all do. But the moment you realize its value, everything changes." I pointed to the sun. "That sunrise is the same one I saw years ago. It comes every day. Not to remind us that time is passing, but to remind us that we still have time." Ravi looked at me with wide eyes. "So, it's not too late?" I smiled kindly. "No, my friend. It's never too late. Time doesn't punish you for wasting it. It just waits for you to wake up." Ravi's eyes filled with tears. "I want to change. I really do." I placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then start today. Start now. Don't wait for the right time. Make this moment right." The boy nodded, wiping his eyes. The sun rose higher, painting the sky in gold. We sat there for a while in silence. And then I said softly, "You know, years ago I was just like you, lost, lazy, wasting days for nothing. But then I saw something that changed everything. A clock in the sky." Ravi looked up, surprised. "A clock in the sky?" I smiled faintly. "Yes. It showed me how precious every second is. And from that day I decided, I will live every second fully." Ravi asked quietly, "Do you still see it now?" I looked at the golden sun and whispered, "Every day." Ravi followed my gaze. The morning sun shone brightly, and for a brief second he thought he saw the shape of a giant golden clock behind it, its hands moving slowly, peacefully. He blinked, and it was gone. But the feeling stayed. As we stood up, I told him, "The world teaches us how to make money, how to get power, how to win. But no one teaches us how to use time. When you learn that, you become truly rich. Robbie smiled, a new spark of hope in his eyes. I'll remember that, sir. I nodded. Good. And remember this. Don't just count the hours. Make the hours count. We began walking down the hill together. The golden sunlight spread across the sky, bright, strong, and endless. The clock in the sky glowed faintly once more, almost invisible, like a secret reminder only I could see. I smiled one last time and whispered, "The flow of time never stops, but neither will I." Weeks, then months went by. Arjun was a new man. He'd wake before sunrise, watch the sky turn to gold, and tell himself, every new sunrise is a new chance. His life began to flourish. His small business grew. His ideas became sharper, and the people around him took notice. Friends who once dismissed him as a dreamer now sought his advice. "Arjun, how do you stay so focused?" one asked. He'd just smile and say, "Because I know the value of a single second." Every day was filled with purpose. He planned, he worked, he rested, all with intention. It felt like time itself was walking beside him, a quiet guide. But one night, everything changed again. Arjun was at his desk finishing up some work, the city lights twinkling outside. The clock on his wall ticked with a steady, calming rhythm. Then suddenly, tick, 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 silence. The sound froze, the lights flickered, and once more that golden glow flooded the sky. Arjun's heart pounded as he stood up. "The clock again," he whispered. There it was, hanging above the city, brighter than ever. But this time the hands were spinning backward, faster and faster. "Why is it moving backward?" Arjun cried out. That deep, familiar voice echoed through the sky. "Arjun, you have learned well, but now you must face your final test." Arjun frowned, confused. "Final test? What do you mean?" The voice replied calmly, "Every person, even those who learn, faces a moment when life tries to pull them back. You must show whether you truly understand time, or whether fear will control you again." Before he could respond, the world blurred. The city faded away, and he found himself standing on a high mountain, the sky filled with stars, and the giant golden clock shining like a sun. Its hands stopped dead. "Arjun," the voice said, "your time is running backward. You are losing your progress, your memories, your success, your work." He looked down at his hands. His watch was rewinding. His notes vanished. His business, his dreams, all turning to dust. "No, please don't take it away," he pleaded. "Then show me," said time. "Show me that you truly respect every second, even when it's slipping away." Arjun fell to his knees, his heart racing. He looked up at the sky and shouted, "Tell me what to do." "Stop the clock," the voice commanded. "But remember, you cannot stop time with your hands, only with your heart." Arjun closed his eyes and took a deep breath, recalling every lesson he had learned. He whispered, "Time is life, and life is what I make of every moment." Slowly, he rose to his feet. He spread his arms wide, facing the sky. With all the conviction in his soul, he declared, "I am not afraid of time anymore. I will not waste it. I will not fear it. I will live it, fully, completely, truly." The golden clock shook violently. Its hands slowed. The sky blazed with light. "Good, Arjun," the voice said. "You are not fighting time anymore. You are flowing with it." The ground beneath him began to glow, and the air grew warm and peaceful. He watched as the giant clock merged with the sunrise. "Is it over?" he asked. "No," time whispered back. "It's only beginning." The clock vanished, leaving only the rising sun. A moment later, Arjun opened his eyes. He was back in his room, morning sunlight streaming in. He looked at his wall clock, ticking normally, smoothly. He smiled. "Thank you," he whispered. He picked up his notebook, turned to the last page, and wrote, "The final test of time is peace. When you no longer chase time, but live every second with love, you win." He looked out the window. The sun was up. He saw it differently now. Every ray of light was a promise, Time wasn't an enemy. It was the most loyal friend. As he stepped out of his room, the sun touched his face like a gentle promise of a new beginning. The ticking of the clock followed him, not as a warning, but as music. Each sound, a gift. Arjun smiled and walked forward, into the perfect rhythm of time. Arjun walked slowly through the busy streets, feeling as if he was walking between two worlds, one that moved fast and another that stood still inside his heart. The familiar sounds of life surrounded him again. Cars, laughter, and the endless ticking of the clock on his wrist. But now, every tick meant something. Every sound of passing time was like a whisper in his ear. He stopped at a small tea shop, the kind he used to ignore, and sat down. The shopkeeper smiled. "Good morning, sir. You look peaceful today." Arjun smiled back, a genuine, warm smile. "Yes, peaceful and awake," he said softly. As he sipped his tea, he watched the people passing by, rushing to offices, scrolling on their phones, completely lost in the hurry. He thought of what the voice of time had said. You cannot change others by speaking. You can only inspire them by living. Those words had taken root in his soul. He didn't want to just go back to his old life. He wanted to live purposefully. So he began his journey, not to chase time but to walk with it as a friend. That evening, Arjun returned to his small apartment. The clock on the wall was still there, ticking away, calm and steady. He sat at his desk, opened his notebook, and began to write again. At the top of the page he wrote, "The lesson of time, what I have learned." He poured his thoughts onto the page one by one. Time doesn't wait for anyone. Wasted time never comes back. If I value time, time will value me. He looked at those simple lines and smiled to himself. Simple truths, he whispered, but so powerful. Suddenly the lights in his room flickered, and the golden glow he now knew so well returned. The clock on the wall began to shine softly, and its hands started moving backward. The voice of time spoke again, calm, deep, and wise. "Arjun, do you think you have learned everything?" Arjun looked up, not with fear, but with curiosity. "I think I understand now. I know I should use every second wisely. I know how fast life moves." The voice replied gently, "Good. But there is one more lesson you must learn. Time is not only about moving forward, it's also about what you leave behind." Arjun stood up slowly, the words sinking in. "What I leave behind," he repeated. "Yes," said time. "People think time only takes away. But the truth is, time also gives. Every action, every word, every effort you make leaves a mark. That mark becomes your legacy." Arjun's mind went back to the people he had seen frozen in time. The man with the phone, the student, the tired worker. He whispered, "So, if I use my time right, I can inspire them, even after I'm gone." "Exactly," the voice affirmed. "When you respect your time, you teach others to respect theirs." The golden light grew brighter, enveloping him. This time, Arjun wasn't afraid. He stood strong, calm, and ready. "Show me time," he said with conviction. "Show me what it means to leave a mark." The world around him shifted again. He found himself standing inside a large, bright hall filled with people. But they weren't rushing. They were listening intently to someone speaking on a stage. Arjun looked closer. The man on stage was him, a future version of himself. He watched himself speak confidently, telling his story about the sunrise, the clock in the sky, and how he learned to respect time. The crowd was captivated, listening with wide, hopeful eyes. "Your future self," the voice said, "is created by how you use your present time." Arjun smiled, seeing his future self helping others understand the very lesson that had saved him. He could feel hope in the air, the same hope he once thought he'd lost forever. Then, just as quickly, the scene faded. The hall disappeared, and he was back in his room. Arjun looked at the golden clock. "So this is the lesson," he said softly. "Time is not my enemy. It's my teacher." "Yes," the voice answered. When you fight against time, you lose. But when you walk with it, you grow. Arjun closed his eyes, a profound peace settling over him, deep and complete. For the first time in years, there was no fear, no hurry, no regret. He picked up his notebook again and wrote one final, powerful line. Time is life, and life is what I make of every moment. He sat back and smiled. Outside, the sky began to change color, another sunset signaling the end of another day. But this time, he didn't feel sad. He whispered, "It's okay. I used it well." As the golden light slowly faded, the voice of time spoke one last time that night. Arjun, you have learned the lesson. Remember, when you live every moment fully, you are no longer afraid of time. You become a part of it. The light disappeared completely. The clock ticked quietly on the wall. Arjun looked out his window. The stars had started to appear one by one, small lights shining in the darkness just like moments shining through a life. He smiled and said to the night, "Tomorrow will come, and I'll be ready." He closed his notebook, turned off the light, and slept peacefully, finally in harmony with the ticking of the clock. The morning light filled Arjun's room, and the city hummed back to life. Everything seemed normal, but Arjun wasn't the same man. He sat at his desk, his notebook filled with goals and plans, things he once delayed, he now fiercely pursued. He was finally working on his dream, an online business he'd shelved for years. A sense of pride washed over him. He was learning, focusing, moving forward. But one question lingered. Was time still watching him? He glanced at the wall clock, its ticking soft and steady. He smiled. "I'm doing it right this time," he whispered. Suddenly the ticking stopped. The second hand froze. The air grew still. The city outside went silent. "No, not again," he gasped, his heart pounding. He ran to the window. The entire world was paused. People frozen mid-step, cars stopped, not a single leaf moving. The sky filled with a golden light, and the giant clock reappeared, its hands glowing like fire. Then came the voice. "So, Arjun, you have started changing. But do you truly understand how precious time is?" "Yes, I think I do," he shouted back. "I'm working hard now. I'm doing my best." The voice of time replied, calm but serious. "You are learning, but understanding time isn't just about using your own. It's also about seeing how others waste it, every single day." The world shifted. Arjun was no longer in his room but standing in the frozen city. "Watch closely," time whispered. He walked down the silent street, seeing hundreds of people frozen in moments of waste. A man endlessly scrolling on his phone, his eyes glazed over. A young woman staring into space at a cafe. A student asleep on his open books. Arjun saw them all and realized, they're wasting their time, just like I used to. "Yes," the voice confirmed. "Every person here has dreams, just like you. But they are waiting for the right moment, not seeing that the right moment is now." Arjun approached a man who looked just like his former self, holding a note that read, "Start tomorrow." He touched the man's shoulder, but he was solid, unmoving. "Will they ever realize it?" Arjun asked, a deep sadness in his heart. "Some will," said time, "but most will not, until it's too late." "I can only show the truth, Arjun. I cannot force anyone to change. Time teaches, but only those who choose to listen can learn." Arjun looked at the frozen city, so full of life yet so still. This world looks alive, but it's not living. "Precisely," the voice answered. "Because people forget that life itself is made of time. When they waste time, they waste life." The sound of ticking returned, louder and louder until Arjun covered his ears. "Every second you waste adds to the silence of this world," the voice boomed. "This silence is the sound of lost time." Arjun fell to his knees as the ticking stopped again, replaced by a heavy, deep silence. He looked up at the golden clock. Its hands began to spin wildly, faster and faster. "Stop," he screamed. You're moving too fast. This is what your life looks like when you waste it, the voice replied calmly. Time keeps running, even when you don't. The light burned brighter, almost blinding. Arjun shut his eyes and shouted, "Please, slow down. I understand. I'll never waste another second." Silence. When he opened his eyes, the city was alive again. People walked and laughed, completely unaware. Arjun stood in the street, breathing heavily, his eyes clear with a new, profound understanding. "They don't see it," he whispered. "But I do. I'll never take another second for granted." As the golden clock faded from the sky, the voice of time spoke one last time, softer now. "Remember, Arjun, you cannot change others by speaking. You can only inspire them by living the way they wish they could." Arjun smiled. "Then I'll live differently. I'll make every second count." He began to walk, his heart beating with a new rhythm, the rhythm of time itself. Tick, tick, tick. The sun rose slowly, painting the valley in gold. Arjun stood on the hill where it all began. The wind whispered against his face, a fleeting lie of normalcy. But he knew. That voice still echoed in his mind. "You've seen your future, Arjun. What will you do with your present?" He looked up. The giant clock, a silent silver sentinel, hung in the sky, its light a second sun on the clouds. He took a deep breath. "If you can hear me, I want to talk." Silence, just bird song and the wind. Arjun closed his eyes, his voice louder, more desperate. "Please, I don't want to waste my life anymore. Just tell me what to do." For a moment, nothing. Then the ground beneath him began to glow, a rising circle of light. From the heavens, the voice of time spoke, deep and calm. "So, you have decided to listen at last." Arjun looked up, his resolve hardening. "Yes, I want to change. I want to use my time better." The voice was unimpressed. "You speak like many before you. But words are easy, Arjun. Action is hard." His eyes burned with determination. "Then teach me. Tell me how to start." The voice boomed. "You must first understand what time truly is." The clock in the sky began to turn, each tick a clap of thunder. Tick, tick, tick. The world dissolved. The sunrise, the hill, all gone. Arjun found himself floating in a vast black void, dotted with countless pulsing golden lights. "Where am I?" he asked, his voice a whisper. "You are inside me," the voice replied. "Inside time itself." Each light pulsed like a heartbeat. He reached out and touched one. Instantly a memory flooded his mind. Him as a child, helping his mother, a moment warm with love. He touched another, and a darker memory surfaced. The day he ignored a crucial job call to sleep in. He recoiled. "These are my moments?" "Yes," the voice confirmed. "Every second of your life is here. Some shine bright because you use them well. Others fade because you wasted them." Arjun watched, heartbroken, as some lights flickered and died. "I never knew time could die like this," he murmured. "Time never dies," the voice corrected. "But what you do within it decides whether your life glows or fades." He looked at the infinite sea of memories. "So this is what time is. Not hours or clocks, but moments." "Yes," the voice said softly. "And you have lost too many, but you can still create more. Brighter ones." Hope ignited in Arjun's eyes. "Then tell me how." A pause, then the voice spoke with gravitas. "Start by giving value to every small moment. Stop saying later. Start saying now. Time rewards those who respect it." Arjun nodded, tears welling. "I wasted so much. I won't waste another second." "Good," said the voice. "Because your second chance begins now." A light blazed, blinding him. He opened his eyes. He was back in his apartment, sitting on his bed. Sunlight streamed through the window. The clock on the wall ticked softly, each tick a reminder. Don't waste me. He stood up, grabbed the dusty notebook of abandoned plans and smiled. Not this time. He tore out the old pages filled with excuses and wrote a single line on a fresh one. Today is the beginning. He started listing small, achievable goals, feeling a nervous excitement he hadn't felt in years. He was alive. Suddenly, a flash. The giant clock reappeared, smaller now, floating before him. Remember, Arjun, the calm voice emanated. I can guide you, but I will not stop for you. Every second you use well adds light to your life. Every second you waste takes it away. Arjun smiled, a genuine, confident smile. I understand. The clock glowed, then faded into the morning light. He stood by the window, watching the city wake up. From now on, he whispered, I'll run with time, not against it. The camera pulls back, revealing Arjun against the sunrise, no longer lost, but awake. The distant ticking of a clock syncs with the rhythm of his own heartbeat. Tick, tick, tick. Time had just begun again. The wind was calm. The sun was just beginning to rise behind the mountains, its soft orange light touching the sky, spreading like a painting made by nature itself. The world was quiet. No noise, no rush, only peace. And there, standing on a lonely hill, was Arjun, a young man in his late 20s. His eyes were tired, his face pale. He looked like someone searching for something. Maybe answers, maybe hope. For a long time he just stood there, watching the sunrise. He felt empty inside. His dreams, once as bright as the morning sun, now felt distant and unreachable. He whispered softly to himself, Why do I feel like I'm running out of time? Even when I'm doing nothing. He closed his eyes, trying to calm the storm in his mind. The sound of the wind was gentle, but suddenly another sound broke the silence. A ticking sound. Tick, tick, tick. Arjun's eyes flew open. His heart skipped a beat. He frantically looked around. There was no clock, no watch. The sound was coming from the sky. He looked up, and what he saw made his breath catch in his throat. High above the sunrise floated a giant golden clock, its hands moving fast, far too fast. The numbers on the clock face glowed like fire, and the sky around it shimmered as if time itself was alive. Arjun rubbed his eyes. No, this can't be real, he said under his breath. But the clock was still there, shining brighter and brighter. And then he heard a voice. It was deep, calm, and powerful. The kind of voice that feels like it comes from everywhere at once, from the sky, from the wind, from inside your own soul. You are running out of time, Arjun. He froze, his body trembling. Who are you? He whispered. There was no answer, only silence. Then the ticking grew louder. Tick, tick, tick. Arjun fell to his knees, covering his ears as the sound echoed in his head. Suddenly, the world around him began to slow down. Birds in the sky froze mid-flight. The trees stopped swaying. Even the wind became still. Everything just stopped. Arjun looked around in shock. What's happening? He shouted, his voice echoing in the frozen air. He could move, but nothing else could. It felt like time itself had paused. The giant clock in the sky glowed brighter, its light falling directly on him. The deep voice spoke again, softer this time, but with a meaning that struck his heart. You waste me every day, Arjun. You keep saying tomorrow, but tell me, what if tomorrow never comes? Arjun stared at the clock, fear and confusion swirling in his eyes. Who are you? He asked again. I am time, the voice said, and I am tired of being ignored. Arjun couldn't believe what he was hearing. Time, speaking to him. He tried to stand, but his legs felt weak. Why me? He whispered. The voice replied, Because you are one of many who wait for the right moment, while wasting the moments you already have. The words hit him like a physical blow. He thought about all the days he had wasted, sleeping late, scrolling through meaningless things, saying, "I'll start tomorrow," over and over again. Arjun felt a deep ache in his chest. "I didn't mean to waste you," he said softly. I thought I had more of you." The clock in the sky began to turn even faster. The sun seemed to pause halfway in the air, frozen between day and night. "Every second you lose," said the voice, "is a part of your life gone forever. You can't buy it, you can't borrow it, and you can't get it back. You can only use it or waste it." Tears welled up in Arjun's eyes. He looked around at the frozen world, the still birds, the unmoving clouds, and finally realized what this meant. Time was trying to show him something important. He took a deep breath and said, "Then show me. Show me what happens if I keep wasting my time." The clock stopped ticking. Silence returned. Then slowly the voice said, "Very well. I will show you what happens when a man stops valuing me." Suddenly the ground beneath him shook violently. The light of the clock turned from a brilliant gold to a menacing red. Everything around him began to blur, spinning backward. Arjun shouted, "Wait! What are you doing?" The voice echoed, "You wanted to see your future. Now you will see your end." And with that, the hill, the sky, and the world around him disappeared into total darkness. For a moment there was nothing, just silence. Then, a faint sound again. Tick, tick, tick. Arjun opened his eyes slowly. He was no longer on the hill. He was standing in the middle of a city, his own city, but everything was strange and wrong. Buildings were crumbling, streets were empty, and the world looked old and lifeless. A chill ran down his spine. "What is this place?" he whispered. The voice of time answered one last time, low and echoing, "This is your life, if you keep wasting mine." Arjun stood there, frozen, his eyes wide in fear and shock. The clock in the sky turned black, its hands stopping completely. Darkness covered the city once more.